Back in the early history of coal camps in Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia, miners either walked to work or rode horses or mules. Mules were also used to carry supplies as well as move loads of coal underground. That work is currently done by shuttle cars. Trains became a very important part of the coal culture, as they were used not only for hauling coal out of the region to the marketplace, but passenger trains were the only means of long-distance travel for many people. Travel involves more than just getting ourselves from one place to another. It also has to do with exploration. As you've already learned, my robotic equivalents are already on Mars, and one of the rovers is named Sojourner. Sojourner means to stay somewhere temporarily, and this rover was named after Isabella Baumfried, a woman born into slavery who later escaped to freedom. In 1843, she changed her name to Sojourner Truth and told her friends, "The Spirit calls me, and I must go."
Children, I have a question. What are some of the different vehicles that we use for travel or for transporting work products?
Cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Airplanes and trains.
Coal barges on the Ohio River.
Coal trucks. All those 18-wheelers you see on the road. And people take vacations on cruise ships.
I'll bet you won't see any cruise ships on Mars.
And you're all correct.
And I didn't even get to say hot air balloons.
Or motorcycles.
How about people on their motorboats?
Or on water skis.
And all of you are correct. And we could go on and on and on.
Now, when we talk about different types of transportation, something that's common to them all is they're designed for a specific purpose. For example, you have the excavator over here and dozers over here. And you know, you wouldn't go on an ocean cruise on a pair of jet skis any more than you take Granny grocery shopping in a loader. Unless, of course, Granny was awfully hungry. So miners use different modes of travel depending on what needs to be done or where they want to go. They may ride a type of elevator called a cage to get underground, or ride down on a man trip, which is a rail-bound or rubber-tired vehicle that carries mine personnel to and from their work area. Underground, a car is a railway wagon used to transport coal, other ores, or waste. When designing these vehicles for underground use, something to be considered is the conditions that they will be operated in, harsh and dangerous. This is just like Sputnik. Earth's first man-made satellite, launched in 1957, was designed to send radio signals back from space.
Children, how is coal transported once it's removed from the ground?
Coal trucks? Is that a 14-wheeler or an 18-wheeler?
Either one, I don't care. Trains carry coal.
And river barges.
They don't use airplanes, do they?
No, I've never heard of that.
Didn't think so.
All the ways mentioned, except for airplanes, are ways of transporting coal. Now, how do you suppose it was moved before coal trucks or even trains?
Do they use horse-drawn wagons? What about ox teams?
Both of you are correct.
Didn't they use river boats?
True, and operating those boats was someone called a boat driver. Now that was someone who drove a team of mules along the riverbank with a rope connected to the boat to guide and pull it.
Now, trains have been used to transport coal for some time. As a matter of fact, the second commercial railroad built in the United States was in 1831 in Chesterfield, Virginia. It was used to transport coal. And many Appalachian railroads still have coal as the main product that is hauled. So you can see that travel and transportation have been an essential part of commerce and are and will continue to be an essential part of space travel. Now, walking is also a mode of travel. Oh, By the way, let me tell you about a walk that someone took several years ago that's different than any walk you or I have ever taken. In June 1965, the Gemini 4 left on a 4-day mission that completed 62 orbits of the Earth. James McDivitt and Edward White were the crew members. The reason for the mission was to show that humans could stay in space the same length of time as would be required to fly to the moon and back. That flight set a new record for the amount of time that humans had spent in space. As a part of the mission, Edward White became the first American to take a spacewalk. Edward White floated about 15 feet away from the spacecraft and then started to maneuver around it. And after 15 minutes, the Houston Command Center radioed astronaut White to return to the space capsule. He followed instructions, but later said that it was the saddest moment of his life. Just from remembering how I felt as I looked over the Cumberland Gap into Kentucky, I think I can understand a little of how astronaut White must have felt. If someone had told me, okay, no more looking at these beautiful sights or traveling onward, I guess I would have been sad too.